Sleep is a challenge that plagues many of us as we age, some more than others. Today we're going to talk about some solutions and a couple of things that have worked for me. Welcome to The Oldish TV. My name is Karen Brown. I'm the publisher and the editor of The Oldish. Over the years, we have published a lot of articles about sleep on our website. You can find those by going to theoldish.com and in the search bar, put in the word sleep. They'll all pop up for you. Now, as always, I want to remind you that I'm not a doctor or a nurse, an OT or a PT. I am somebody who has access to a lot of research articles, and it is those research articles I'm going to draw on for today's show. Now, there are a lot of causes for sleeplessness and the inability for you to find a good night's sleep every night, consistently. Some of those reasons might include sleep apnea, napping in the daytime, stress, medications, a restless partner, or maybe you've got a partner who snores, or maybe you snore yourself and you keep waking yourself up. I've been known to do that the odd time. Or maybe it's just an uncomfortable sleep environment. All of those things might affect you. Maybe some of them, maybe one or two of them affect you. Roughly half of people over the age of 65 report problems with sleep, so you're not alone. And honestly, if I have to be dead honest with you, I think that maybe way more than half of people are having sleep problems. They're maybe just not admitting it. As always, any sort of physical, emotional, or psychological issue, and sleep apnea falls into that category, needs to be dealt with by your primary care team first. Don't keep it to yourself, because some of these conditions can be life-threatening. Sleep apnea among them. It can be a very dangerous condition, and there are things that are out there to deal with them. So let's make that proviso first. If you're having trouble sleeping, go and see your primary health provider team. Medications are something that really impact the ability to get a good night's sleep. If you don't have a medication checklist, which is something we're really big on, you can get one on our website. So go to theoldish.com. You do have to create an account, but it's free. It's behind the security wall. So, you may choose to enter personal information there and keep your list on our website, which is fine. But you don't want anybody else, including us, to be able to see your private information. Don't worry, you can also download it. You can download a blank form and just follow the example that is set, or you can fill it out and then download it and then delete it on our website if that makes you more comfortable. Please feel free to do all of that. But the medication checklist is found in the toolkit, which is on the top menu bar. You can fill that out. It's really important to have a running tab of what medications you're taking, how much of each, and how often you're taking them. It's also important to understand that over-the-counter medications, things like herbal teas, CBD oil, if that's on your list, they can all have interactions. So you want to keep that running list and make sure to review it with your physician on a regular basis. A big one that prevents a good night's sleep is catnapping. Now, we may intend to catnap. Doesn't always turn out that way. Have you noticed? It's really a wonderful thing to be able to have a 20-minute cat nap in the afternoon, perhaps. I'm big on that for Sunday afternoons. But cat naps have a way of turning into 2-hour naps, which is certainly not in the category of catnap. And I find that as the seasons change, we're outside today, but as summer turns into fall and the days get shorter, I find that all of those kinds of things influence my desire to have a little nap. So I typically get up about 6 o'clock in the morning. In the summertime, it's light outside by then. This time of year, which is the fall, it's dark and I have to turn lights on. Always makes me a bit sad. But it's true also at the other end of the day where, it's getting dark earlier. Where it used to be light until 9 o'clock at night, and then it became 8 o'clock, it's now getting dark earlier and earlier and earlier, which makes me sleepier and sleepier and sleepier. So falling asleep in front of the TV, not uncommon, but folks, here's the takeaway. if you're sleeping for a couple of hours in the afternoon and you're falling asleep in front of the TV in the evening, guess what? That's 2 hours, 3 hours worth of sleep. Deduct that from your 8 hours. If you wonder why you're not sleeping 8 hours anymore, why you're only able to sleep 4 or 5, it's because you got the rest of it earlier in the day. So you want to make an effort to cut down on those cat naps and the sleeping in front of the TV in the evening. Make sure you get enough exercise during the day. You want to get out and get some fresh air and get an appropriate kind of exercise, whether that's going for a walk, doing some yoga, going outside and gardening. Now that's harder to do in the wintertime, so make sure you get some kind of exercise during the day. We still want to strive for that 150 minutes of exercise throughout the entire week. That will actually help you sleep less. It'll unlock those endorphins and make you feel better, make you less inclined to catnap because you have an energy boost by way of the exercise. So yoga and stretching, those are also the kinds of exercises that you can do that really, really help with prolonging your waking hours, which is what you're really trying to do. Things like depression, grief, and anxiety play a role in the inability to get a lot of sleep as well. So if any of these are playing a role in your sleeplessness, please make sure you get to a doctor and get some help with those things. Don't hide it. Don't think, oh, it's going to go away. If it's gone on for several days, or if you're at the point where it's gone on for several weeks, make sure you talk to somebody about it. It all matters. You know, it plays on your mind and keeps your thoughts going in directions that you really don't want it to go in. So please make sure, depression, anxiety, any of that kind of stuff, grief, if you're going through a period of grief, make sure you find some help. It may not be medications, it may be counseling. Whatever it is, whatever you need, make sure you get it. Make sure that your bed linens are comfortable and warm enough to keep you asleep, and make sure that your bed clothing is comfortable as well. You may sleep in the all together. That's fine. If you need to be warmer, maybe consider throwing on a t-shirt. In the wintertime, you may need heavier, maybe flannel bed clothes, because maybe you're the kind that kicks covers off. I know I can do that from time to time, but just make sure that you're comfortable and that your temperature is able to stay regulated enough through the week to keep you asleep. Find the temperature that works, whether it's cool or warm. Now, sometimes that can be challenging if you've got a partner who likes the opposite of what you like, but you need to figure out ways to duke it out with your partner to find those adjustments. If one likes it cooler in the room, the other may like to snuggle with a blanket. I'm going to tell you something that I recently experimented with, and I'm actually finding that it worked quite well for me. For about a year now, I've been seeing ads for weighted blankets. And I've been kind of curious about weighted blankets and what they might do. I'm not usually somebody who has trouble falling asleep, but I do occasionally have trouble staying asleep, and it usually has to do with the temperature. I get too warm, and so I wake up and kind of kick covers off, and then I get too cold, and I wake up and I'm covering myself up again. I bought myself a weighted blanket, and it's one that's made of bamboo. So that helps to regulate the temperature that is directly impacting my body a great deal more. I have to tell you, I absolutely love my weighted blanket. In fact, what I've been doing is pulling all the covers back, my top sheet, my duvet, everything, pulling it back, and I only have the weighted blanket on top of myself. I find that quite enough. Now we'll see as I get into the winter time, but the weighted blanket is really like this big snuggle. It's kind of amazing, and I have enjoyed that a lot, and I have in fact found that it keeps me asleep through the night. I am not waking up. So if you think that would help you, now they're not a $10 blanket, but for me, it has absolutely been worth the expense, and I highly recommend going for something that is made of a temperature regulating material like bamboo. The Calm app is something that I have on my iPhone, and I really enjoy it. It has sleep stories. It has music that's intended to calm you and soothe you. It has white noise and pink noise. So whatever it is that is your jam, I suppose we can refer to it as, it has something for you. Now, I've experimented with some of the stories and discovered that there are certain kinds of voices that work better for me, and I have yet to hear the end of any story. So it does put me to sleep pretty quickly. As I said earlier, I'm not somebody who has ever had trouble falling asleep, but we all have those times where things are weighing on our mind. You know, when we crawl into bed and your mind starts checking off the to-do list or making the lists for the next day, running through the events of the current day. What I find with these sleep stories, and for you it might be pink noise or white noise or music, is it focuses the mind on one thing. And when your mind is focused on that one thing and you can discipline yourself to stay focused on it, then you have less ability for your mind to wander around and keep going to different scenarios and stories and woulda, coulda, shouldas. So that Calm app, and I believe there is a cost to it, I'm pretty sure there is, but it's not huge, I have found tremendously helpful. And I have found, for me, there are certain male voices that I guess the timbre and the resonance of them are more soothing to my mind. Some of the voices, male and female, can be a little sharp, and I don't find those as soothing. So I'll kind of roll over and change that pretty quickly. But there's one particular story reader named Alan Sklar. Really like his voice. I find it very soothing. So that's something that you might experiment with. A lot of people are finding benefit from using CBD oil, and they can find that it reduces all of the negative things that are impacting sleep. So I'm not saying CBD oil that has in it THC. THC is the thing in the cannabis plant that gives you a bit of that high. I don't need that, and I don't have any CBD oil myself. I've used it with my dog, interestingly, and I know a lot of people are using straight up CBD oil to calm their stress and calm their anxiety. It is a medication, so you need to be sure that you include that on your medication checklist and discuss it with your doctor to make sure there aren't any interactions with medications that you might be taking already, including over-the-counter medications. So make sure you do that. Don't keep it a secret. I know that a lot of doctors aren't in agreement with that medication, but if you've done your research and you've decided that this is something you want to add into your regimen, then you need to be firm in your resolve and just make sure that your doctor knows. You're not looking to your doctor for approval. You're looking to your doctor for interactions. Okay? Make sure that that is something that you do. Now, the usual stuff like having a bedtime routine is really helpful. Not being stimulated by screens. So if you're watching a spooky or overly dramatic series on Netflix, save that for a little earlier in the evening, or maybe a Sunday afternoon movie. But you definitely don't want to be having something that stimulates your brain too much that you're watching on screens. Screens are something that are challenging for me. I do tend to go to bed, and that's when I will go through Instagram stories, see what's going on Instagram. I kind of enjoy that. So I guess for me, that's not something that stimulates my brain, but it is something that is part of my routine and therefore calms me down. But I don't get into doing lots of replies to Facebook comments or Facebook posts that I'm interacting with. I've already done that through the daytime. So whatever your routine is, maybe having a warm bath or a cup of tea, maybe taking the dog out for one last walk around the block, whatever it is that is your routine, you need to find the one that helps you sleep, not the one that has elements that keep you up or get your mind stimulated. The seasons influence sleep as well. As I mentioned just a little bit earlier, we're now transitioning into the fall and winter months. So the light and the temperatures that are to be found in the summertime, as we transition into the light and the temperatures that are to be found in the wintertime, they can have an impact on your sleep. So be cognizant of those. Be aware of the things that you need to adjust just a little bit to find that perfect blend to give you a good night's sleep. Whatever calms your mind and works for you isn't necessarily going to work for anybody else. But if you have friends that have particular elements that work for them, there goes a little seed flying through our picture. That's what you get when you're outside. Make sure that you do have those conversations with your friends and see what they're doing. Like I said, at least half of people are having sleep problems. So maybe you could share what works for you and find elements that work for other people that you can incorporate into your routine. Thank you for being with us today. This is the end of our Oldish TV show. I do invite you to connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on Pinterest as well, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're everywhere. So we are wherever it is that you want to be. Leave us comments, leave us story suggestions, whatever makes you happy, however you want to engage with us. We're happy to engage with you. Join us next Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon here on facebook.com/The Oldish. And until then, I will wish you well. Please do remember that it takes a village to age a senior.